15-1212, State versus Stacy Jackson. Counsel, please state appearances for the record. Counsel, you state your name for the record for the state.
My name is Joshua Posada.
Counsel for the defense.
Nerea Sanchez Mayet.
Adele Ortiz. Is the state ready to present its case?
Yes.
Counsel, you may proceed.
On January 27th, 2015, a fight occurred between Emery Baca and Casey Jackson. The fight occurred in the lunchroom. Casey began kicking Emery, and Emery stood her ground and pushed her back. Casey then punched Emery in the face and continued to punch her repeatedly. Officer Moya then arrived on the scene and pulled Casey off of Emery. Emery had many injuries to her hand and her head from Casey's punching and kicking. After all the middle school drama, the facts are the facts. Casey threw the first punch and initiated the fight. The prosecution asks you that you find Casey guilty for battery and public affray. Thank you.
Defense have no meeting at this time.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is a classic tale of intense friendship, vicious jealousy, and cold, hard truth. You will soon hear about three friends, Casey, Dakota, and Emery. Now, Casey was best friends with Emery, but when Dakota Peterson came to school, Casey found that, she and Dakota had an undeniably obtuse amount of things in common. Naturally, they became best friends, but obviously she was still friends with Emery. You see, Dakota was new to Courthouse Middle School when she met Casey Jackson and Emery. She was friends with both, but she and Casey had more classes together, they had good conversation, they just had a lot in common. You could say they were two kindred spirits, but more importantly, bosom friends. Emery was Casey's best friend, but once Casey started to hang out more with Dakota, Emery got jealous. All of a sudden this new kid comes to school and just steals your best friend. She was jealous and desperate to become Casey's only friend, that she invited Casey to a birthday party and not Dakota. The more Casey played with Dakota, the more jealous and upset Emery got. She was a puppet, tangled in strings of jealousy and resentment. And finally, she just couldn't take it anymore. She snapped. She was so moved by anger and jealousy that she told Casey that she was going to shut her up. And then she punched and kicked Casey. Casey was left feeling scared and threatened. Why is my friend doing this to me? And so obviously she would hit back out of self-defense. And so after listening to the evidence, I'm confident you will find Casey Jackson not guilty. Thank you.
Stay ready to call its first witness.
Yes, Your Honor. The Officer Moya, please come to the stand.
Any testimony you give here today is the truth under penalty of law. Counsel, you may proceed.
Please state your name to the jury.
Michael Moyle,
Officer Michael Moya, who is your employer?
Albuquerque Police Department,
And how long have you been an officer?
12 years.
Tell us about your training.
We do physical and weapons training, and we specialize in investigating of crime scenes.
Why were you called out to the Court Hall Middle School?
to respond to a 10-10,
What does a 10-10 mean?
a fight in progress.
And who was this fight between?
Casey and Emery.
What did you first see as you arrived on scene?
I first saw Casey kick and then punch Emery, and in self-defense, Emery acted and pushed her back and hit her back.
Do you see Casey in the court?
Yes, she's wearing a charcoal jacket and a blackish skirt.
Okay. Did you stop the fight?
Yes.
What did you do next?
I interviewed Casey and Emery and got their statements.
And what information did you get out of their statements?
From Casey's statement, I got that Emery started the fight, and from Emery's statement, I got that Dakota started the fight.
Did you see any injuries of either of the girls?
Yes, Emery had a cut on her right thumb.
Did Officer Barker recover any evidence?
Yes, he took the photo of her hand, and he recovered a video of the fight, or partially the fight, on Brooke itself.
And is that it?
Yes.
And in your professional opinion, and extensive training of investigations of crime scenes, who do you think the instigator was?
Dakota.
And why?
Because in the testimony she writes, she's the one who kind of starts all the drama and mixes it all up.
And who do you believe the primary aggressor is, in your professional opinion?
Casey.
And why is that?
Because Casey is the one who was more violent in the fight and she looked like she wanted to get Emily.
And was Casey suspended after the fight?
Yes.
Thank you. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Hello, officer.
Well,
Isn't it true that you were advised that a fight was taking place at the school
yes.
after the fight had already started?
Yes.
And so, isn't it true that you wouldn't have had a chance to see the beginning of the fight?
Yes.
So, isn't it true you have no idea whatsoever who started the fight?
Not necessarily. Because through our training, we are trained on how to investigate crime scenes, and Emery is primary aggressor because from the testimony...
Isn't it true you just said Emery was the primary aggressor?
Casey. Sorry, excuse me.
Okay, well, isn't it true you personally did not see who started the fight?
Yes.
And isn't it true, it says in your statement here, that you, and I quote, saw both start to hit each other with closed fists?
I had already stated that earlier.
Okay, well, doesn't this suggest that the fight was equal?
Not necessarily.
Can I take a moment to confer with my co-counsel? Isn't it true that it is your opinion that Casey started the fight?
Professional opinion, yes.
Okay. Isn't it true that it could have happened in a totally different way?
Yes.
Isn't it true that you just told the state that you came in and saw Casey kick and hit Emery?
Yes.
Isn't it true that you came in during the middle of the fight?
Yes.
Isn't it true that what you saw could have been a coincidence out of the time you came in?
Maybe.
Isn't it true? Isn't it true that what you saw when you came in could have had nothing to do with who the primary aggressor was?
Can you restate the question, please?
Isn't it true that when you saw Casey hit Emery, because of the time you came in, it could have had nothing to do with who the primary aggressor was?
Yes.
Okay, no further questions. Thank you for your time.
So, Officer Moya, was Casey the main offense in the fight that you saw?
Yes.
And was Emery the only girl who had an injury?
Objection, Your Honor. That's outside the scope of cross-examination.
And was Emery mostly defending what you saw?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
State matters next witness.
Yes, the state calls Officer Cameron Barker to the stand. Please state your name.
Cameron Barker,
Who is your employer?
Albuquerque Police Department.
How long have you been a police officer?
10 years.
What was your training to become a police officer?
We had lots of physical, weapon, and we specialized in investigating crime.
Were you called out to a fight on January the 27th?
Yes.
Where was it located?
Court hall and school.
And what were your responsibilities on the scene?
I was investigating the scene.
And did you interview any witnesses?
Yes.
And who were they?
I interviewed Dakota, Madison, Skylar, and Jesse.
Did you collect any evidence?
Yes.
Did you take any crime scene photos?
Yes.
Did you take permission to approach the witness? Can you identify the photo which has been marked as state evidence A?
This is Emery's hand, which has a cut on it, on her thumb.
Do you have any idea how she received this cut?
From past experience, I'm guessing that it was probably from blocking a punch, and then when Casey brought back the punch, her nail caught on her thumb.
Your Honor, I'd like to publish or to move this exhibit into evidence.
Any objections?
May I publish the evidence to the jury?
You may.
After conducting your investigation, in your professional opinion, who do you think is the primary aggressor?
Casey.
What is your conclusion of what happened in this investigation?
I think that Dakota was the primary instigator, but Casey was the primary aggressor.
Okay, thank you. Pass the message.
Cross-examination.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Isn't it true you were the investigator of the fight?
Yes.
Isn't it true you didn't see the whole fight? You didn't see the fight at all.
Yes.
Isn't it true you found injuries on Emily's hands?
Yes.
Isn't it true you don't know if Emily had these cuts before the fight?
Yes, but they were fresh cuts
How do you know those cuts were fresh?
because they showed no scabbing.
Okay. So what you told me a while ago is you don't know how she really got the injuries, right? Okay. No more.
Any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. Would you define the cut as a fresh cut?
Yes.
Did you observe any scabbing at all?
No.
Would you, in your professional opinion, think that it could have happened before the fight?
It could have, but it's doubtful.
Here for you go. Stay ready for its next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. Will Emery Baca please come to this case?
You solemnly swear and affirm any testimony you give your case the truth and nothing but the truth. Counsel, you may proceed.
Hello, Emery. How are you?
Good.
And can you please state your name to the jury?
Emery Baca.
And what school do you go to?
Court Hall Middle School.
And what grade are you in?
8.
Do you know Casey?
Yes.
Describe your relationship with Casey.
We're friends.
Describe frenemies.
But we're not because we've been getting into a lot of arguments. Like one time we got in an argument at the movies. I liked the movie, but Casey didn't. And she said it sucked. And she started making fun of me.
And was this the cause of you guys starting to not be friends?
Yes.
And how did that make you feel?
It made me feel left out.
Was there an incident on January 27th?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Me and Casey got into a fight during lunch at school, and Casey made fun of my lunch, and then she started yelling and kicking and punching.
So after she was hitting and punching you, what happened?
After she was hitting and punching me, I decided to defend myself, so I pushed her away.
And did she yell at you?
Yes.
And what was the reason for all this?
I don't know.
So what happened next?
Well, because she was punching me, I covered my face and ducked down, but she continued to punch.
Did anything else happen?
And then when I was ducking down, I pulled Casey off.
Okay. I'm going to show you what is marked as State's Exhibit A. What is this a picture of?
It is the picture.
And how did that happen?
It happened when I was trying to defend myself when Casey was punching me. I blocked.
So on January 27th, Casey started the fight?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Ready for cross counsel?
true that you and Casey are friends?
Yes.
Isn't it true that you started the fight?
No.
Isn't it true that you were being ignored?
Yes.
Isn't it true this made you feel mad?
Yeah, because they were ignoring me.
Isn't it true you said in your witness statement, Casey is a jerk and Casey is so mean?
Yes, I said that because she was saying very mean things to me and being very rude.
Isn't it true this would make anyone feel awful?
Yes.
Can I confer with my co-counsel? Permission to approach the witness?
You may approach. Counsel, would you have the witness?
Your Honor, I have an objection. The state had previously handed Casey the defense's Exhibit A, not the state's. So, can I just say that the defense's Exhibit A was entered into the court?
Counsel?
The evidence was actually from ours. We have all of the evidence here. It does not say.
Okay, because defense's Exhibit A is currently with the witness.
And counsel, I believe there may be some confusion. I think the state's exhibit A was published to the juror and it's sitting on the juror box.
Okay.
Counsel, if you want to hand the correct exhibit to your witness?
They might have left it there. Okay, so now you have the defense's Exhibit A, which accidentally got left there. So do you reckon, isn't it true this is a picture of your hand?
Yes.
Isn't it true there's a scratch on your thumb?
Yes.
And isn't it true this scratch is exactly 1 centimeter long?
Yes.
And isn't it true that you previously said you were being hit and kicked over and over again in the head by Casey?
Yes, but in the heads and hands.
In the head and hands. Okay. And isn't it true that this is the only injury recorded by the police officers?
Yes.
And isn't it true that after being hit and kicked repeatedly for at least 20 minutes, there would have been maybe something else to show than a 1 centimeter long scratch?
Can you please rejection? Question already answered.
Response?
I had a different point. I was trying to get something else out of her.
Call the roll. You may proceed.
Okay, well, isn't it true after 20 minutes of being hit in the head, you would have had something more to show from it than a 1 centimeter long scratch?
Yes.
Isn't it true that if someone else was punching someone, maybe they wouldn't have as many injuries?
Yes.
Okay, permission to show the jury, to publish The picture?
Are
Yeah.
you moving to admit the second exhibit, counsel?
Yes.
And that's defense exhibit,
A.
any objection? Exhibit A is admitted, and you may publish to the jury.
So, isn't it true that because you only had a 1 centimeter long scratch, you weren't just defending yourself?
Please repeat the question.
Isn't it true that because all you have to show for the fight is a 1 centimeter long scratch, during the fight you weren't just defending yourself?
Yes.
Okay, no further questions.
Thank you, counsel. Any redirect?
Yes. So, in the comments you made about Casey, were they made were they made to her from frustration of her ignoring you?
Yes.
And were you also kicked in the head during the fight?
Yes.
And was Casey offending you before the fight?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, counsel. Ms. Rodey, you may stand. Stay ready to call its next witness.
Madison Concord.
I'm sorry, counsel, the name of the witness again?
Madison Concord.
Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear and affirm any testimony you give here today is the truth and the whole truth. You may be seated. Counsel, you may proceed.
Thank you. Please state your name to the court.
Madison Concord,
What school do you go to?
Middle School.
What grade are you in? And how do you know Emery?
He's my best friend.
How do you know Casey?
She is Emery's old best friend
Why are they old best friends?
because they had a disagreement at the movie theaters.
Why did they disagree at the movie theaters?
Emery liked the movie, but Casey didn't.
And how did this make Emery feel?
Sad.
And what has resulted because of the movie argument?
I don't really like each other now.
Have you seen them argue since the movie?
Yes.
Can you give me an instance?
Casey told Anaya her shirt was stupid and she was stupid for it.
Were you present at the day of the fight?
Only at the ending.
Okay, when you walked in on the fight, what did you see?
I saw the officers pulling them apart.
Did you see Casey hit Emery?
Yes.
And how well do you know Emery?
I know her very well.
In your opinion, do you think Emery could have started the fight?
No.
Thank you.
Objection, Your Honor. That's speculation. He asked, in your opinion, do you think he should have started the fight?
Respond.
Good response.
Please stay. Cross-examination.
Hello. Please remember to speak clearly and loud for the jury. Isn't it true Casey and Emery saw the movie together? Isn't it true you weren't there?
Yes.
Isn't it true Emery told you what happened at the movie?
Yes.
Isn't it true there was a disagreement about the movie?
Yes.
So isn't it true Emery liked the movie and Casey didn't? Isn't it natural for friends to disagree? Isn't it true that friends sometimes don't like the same things?
Yes.
Okay. So what you told me is that your entire witness statement is almost everything Emery told you, correct? Isn't it true you were present during the fight?
At the ending?
Isn't it true you only saw part of the fight? You never saw the beginning of the fight, is that correct? So isn't it true you didn't see who started the fight? Enough questions.
Any redirect?
Why didn't you talk to Casey about the fight?
Because I didn't know if she'll talk to him or not, because I didn't have any.
Because she's mad at Emery? And do you consider that Emery did tell you the truth and not just to get you mad at Casey? Do you think Emery told you the truth about the movies?
Yes.
And don't best friends usually talk to each other about their problems?
Yes.
So you believe it's natural for Emery to have told you?
Yes.
Thank you.
Amazing. Any further witnesses from the state? Does the state rest?
Yes.
Any motions from the defense?
Yes, Your Honor. We move this court to dismiss the charge because the state does not have any reliable evidence concerning the fact that our client is guilty.
Any response?
Yes, Your Honor. The state has made a prima facie case. Regarding the battery and public offense, the state proved Casey engaged in a fight with Emery that happened at their middle school located in the state of New Mexico on January 27, 2015. And this fight disturbed others. In regard to the battery, the defendant touched Emery in a rude and angry manner, and this happened in the state of New Mexico on January 27, 2015. We ask you that you deny the defendant's motion.
The motion is denied at this time. Is the defense ready to proceed with their case?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may call your first witness.
We'd like to call Casey